Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Try and Test It today. If you are not familiar with this podcast yet, this is a relationship and dating podcast where I talk about millennial dating. I give advice, I share stories, I interview guests, and we talk about everything relationship related. So today I have my dear sis on with me and sis Effendi. Hi Effendi.
Hi, Sis Tracey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? So tell them a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Oh, yes, of course. So I just want to start off by saying thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Effendi. I'm 23. Just a few things about myself. I'm passionate. I love Jesus. And, yeah, I guess I love talking, so I'm excited to be here on this talk show today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. So without further ado, the topic for today is my first love, and my is for everybody, like not just me, but my first love. So first and foremost, the definition of love, according to the Urban Dictionary, is the act of caring and giving to someone else and having someone else's best interest at heart and well-being as a priority in your life. So, Ms. Effendi, what is your definition of love before we talk about our first love?
That's a pretty good definition there. It basically explains it all. To me, I would say love is selfless and it's a choice. I say choice because when you got time in with somebody, maybe every day you might wake up, you might not feel like loving that person, but it's a choice because you choose to do it anyway.
Okay, I definitely agree. All right, so describe to us your first love and what was that like that excitement, that whatever you felt. What was your first love like?
So this story makes me laugh. My first love, the first thing that I remember is him just being older than me. You know, girls, we love men that's older. So I guess that was the most exciting part, just feeling like he was somebody that I can learn from. Just being excited that he was older. It was it was like an adrenaline rush too, because I met him through my adopted family. So just kind of thinking
that
about
experience. Okay. All right. Well, I would say, like, for me, my first love was a whirlwind experience. I think, funny enough, I'm like a late bloomer. I think my first love, I was like 21 or 22. Like, yeah, I don't remember how old I was, but I was younger. And I just felt like I really wanted to be in a relationship so bad. Like, I had never been in one. And I don't know, I just wanted to feel what everybody was talking about. But I feel like it was definitely like an adrenaline rush. It was definitely a lot of crazy moments. I feel like it wasn't even, when I look back now, it really wasn't love. I was just dumb as all can be, like. But I definitely remember that experience, and it's something that sticks out in my mind. So, with your first love, like, what kind of things were you doing for this person? Like, how did you know that you were in love?
Pretty much like you said. I think it was just that adrenaline rush. Now that I look back, it really wasn't love. It was kind of just comfortability and just becoming familiar with someone that you're always around. So you kind of just, it's like, oh, I don't know how to be alone. Let me just be with this person. So that's how that relationship kind of came about, because he was like always around the family, always coming around. And the funny thing is, we didn't even like each other at first. Like, literally as people, we didn't like each other. We were easily annoyed by each other. But you see, you could be around somebody so long, and then now your mind is telling you that maybe this is the one, and whole time it's not love.
Oh, no, I definitely agree with that. And that's really interesting, because I feel like oftentimes that is what it is. Like, you're comfortable with somebody, and then it's kind of like you just decide to be together. And then it's like, because they are always there. But I would say, like, with my first love experience, I feel like I was always there. I don't know if I was like a borderline stalker or what, but it's just like, your friends became my friends. I always wanted to be around. Like, wherever you going, I want to go to. You know what I mean? It's like you just want to be around that person, and you was like, you kind of waiting around like a lap dog, and it's like, whoa, that's
it's just all about them at this point.
Yes, and that's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, sorry to
go ahead.
That actually.
Oh no, go ahead.
That actually answers your question of what were you doing for this person. It makes me think of like I literally put him before my family. So mind you, I met him through my family, and then I began to put him before my family. So I would do crazy things like probably call out of work to go see this guy. I remember one time I got into it with my mom and my sister, and I was about to move out of my whole house for something that I thought was love. Man, the crazy things we did.
No, it's true. Like, it is so true. I remember, so my next question, actually, I'm going to go back to what you're saying was, did they love you back, right? So before we answer that question, though, I'm going to go back. I remember, like, I think he lived in, like, Hackensack area, and I lived in Woodbridge area. So if you guys are familiar with New Jersey, it's, like, Central Jersey and North Jersey, right? And so I remember, like, one day, I don't know if he got in a car accident or what happened, but, like, I called out of work when I found out. I drove all the way to the hospital, and, like, when I got there, he didn't even care. Like, he looked like he was kind of annoyed that I was there, like, waiting for me to leave. So, girl, so it's kind of like the question I was going to ask is, they love you back? And I'm like, at the time, it's like I didn't know what love was, and I didn't know what to expect and what to do, but I just felt like, okay, well, if I love him right, then he's going to love me back. But the reality of, I don't even think this man liked me, okay? Like, I really don't think so. And then some men, too, they don't know how to love people. Like, they don't have that desire. They don't care. So
they were never taught.
Yes, it could definitely be that. But I remember that. I'm like, oh, wow, they just popped up in my mind. Like, but, yeah, that whole situation was definitely a dub. So at that time or whatever, like, when I asked you, like, how you felt when you were in love, like, did you kind of, like, when you look back at it, do you see, like, you were kind of, like, in a trance or, like, you were, like, in a fog, like, you weren't living in reality because things were happening around you, but it's like, even though you knew right from wrong, it didn't apply to your relationship. Did that ever happen to you?
Right. So, when you think you're in love, you kind of just blinded by things that you would otherwise be paying attention to. So, and my family was warning me as well. So I would say it came off as if he loved me in the beginning, but in hindsight, it was just because he was lonely and he felt I was just there. You get what I'm saying? So you know that saying, something to do because there's nothing to do. So because when we got distance and he wasn't with my family no more, and it wasn't just the comfortability of let's be together because we see each other all the time. He found another girlfriend, girl, so I guess it wasn't love that whole time.
Girl. But that's what I feel like, because we think, like, we see love in movies and we hear it in songs, but we don't really know, like, if you don't have, like, a really good example in front of you and you don't have somebody mentoring you and coaching you when you're young, you're going to be all confused. But you're definitely right as far as, so I was going to ask you, like, did it cause issues with family members? Did you lose friends? I know that happens sometimes with people in their first love. Did it ever get that extreme or no?
Not in the aspect of friends. I didn't lose friends because this relationship was, like, really exclusive to family because, again, I met him through my family. So I think it really tested, like, it goes back to the title of your relationship podcast title, which is Tried and Tested. So it tested the relationship of my sister and I because I'm adopted, right? So this was her cousin. And I guess it was, like, really uncomfortable for her. And our main thing was, well, we're not blood. But it really did get to a point of either it was my family or him. And I thank God that relationship ended, that we got distant, and I chose my family at the end of the day because, like we said, it turned out that he really wasn't in love. So I'm over here blinded. Eve, love is blind. I would have gave up my family for a whole, fake relationship.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that people get so caught up when it comes to situations like this? Like, especially the first love. I feel like for some people, like, that's the worst. That's the hardest one. Why do you think that people get caught up in that type of situation and are so lost and kind of can damage other relationships?
It goes back to what we said, like, you growing up, maybe you didn't have your father, maybe you didn't have an example, because I know now, like, at church with my pastor and my first lady as an example, my first example of a marriage and what love is and how to communicate, that changed my outlook a lot on how to approach relationships or what real love is. So I think before, like, just not having an example, not having your parents sit you down and tell you, like, this is love, or seeing your father or your mother in a house, like growing up in a 2-parent home and actually seeing them love each other. So when you I feel like when you don't have those examples, you kind of get and jump into anything, and then you kind of just figuring out your way down the road. Like, oh, I guess this is love. You get me?
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, during the time that you were in this experience, what kind of person did you see him as? And now that you're no longer in it, what kind of person do you know him to be?
So when I was in a relationship, I saw him as a person that just needed help, just needed somebody to be there for him, and then like he would get his life together. All he needed was just the support, because in hindsight, that's what he made it seem like. You feel me? Oh, I don't got nobody. You know the sob stories.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm out of it, it was just manipulation, you know. So just something to do. You know. So.
No, I definitely agree, because I feel like oftentimes, and I'm going to have a topic about this, because I feel like younger women end up with older men, but I feel like it's like you trying to save somebody and you don't need to be. Like, you know, you're like, oh, I feel so bad for him. If only he could get it together, you know, and because you helped them so much, you don't want to leave them alone. But I feel like this boy, this man, whatever it was that I was dating, it's like, I think it's been over a decade. Oh, my gosh, I'm old, y'all. It's been like, I think it's been almost a decade or over a decade. But it's like when I ever, like, run into him, or if I happen to pass by a profile on social media, I'm like, bruh, like, with all the help I tried to give you and with all the resources and everything that I did for you, you are still the same person. So I was like, wow, like, if I didn't leave you alone, like, I would have ran myself into the ground, and that's what I did. Like, I think I was eating like crazy, gaining weight, looking all types of dumb, just out and about, running after this man, chasing around, you know, looking for him and stuff. And it's just like, but
they
people
really
do
suck
not
the
change.
life out of you.
That, let me tell you something. That's exactly, imagine putting a vacuum to your stomach and somebody's just sucking the air out. Like, that's what it was. Like, because I'm like, when I look up, I know my mom was like, she was just looking at me like, girl, what are you doing? My friends, like, some of my friends, I did lose some good friends over the situation. And I also had some strained relationships, because it's like, you just dumb. You stuck on dumb. Like, it's
yeah,
like, you know, what? Girl, and
at some point, your friends just be like, how many times we got to tell you at this point?
Yeah. And this is before, like, I was really going to, like, church and stuff. So I was like, but at that point, I'm like, well, you know, maybe he needs prayer. But mind you, I don't even know how to pray. So it's like, you just try to, you give every excuse in the book for these people. And I was like, yo, love, I mean, I don't do drugs, but they say love is a drug. And I was just like, look, I don't know what this was, but it was like I had never been so, like, just lost in my life. And I feel like that's what it is, too. I think it's a process of you're finding yourself. You're trying to find, you know, yourself as an adult. You're finding yourself in a relationship. You're finding yourself trying to not be, because I was always a girl, like, I don't want to be a gold digger. I don't want to be somebody that, you know, like, I thought I didn't have to find a man with himself already together, that we could do it together. You know what I mean? So, yes, girl. So that was definitely a crazy situation. So when you broke it off, like, what did that feel like when you actually were able, or whenever he got a new girlfriend or whatever? Like, what did that feel like when you finally were able to kind of break free?
Girl, so breaking it off at first hurt it, because of course it wasn't me. Listen.
So, like, what was that experience
God
like?
knew what he was doing, so God knew that I probably wasn't going to be breaking it off anytime soon, because I was still stuck on stupid of, you know, I could help this guy. Or at first, you know, the long distance was working. When he wasn't staying with my family and I anymore, and he moved, he would still come and meet me and catch the bus all the way with me to work. So these are the things that you blinded by, like, oh, well, he's doing this. So
yeah, he's showing some type of effort.
Right.
Yes, they try to keep you on a line.
Yeah. and all in all, you getting into a whole new relationship. But yeah, when we broke it off, it hurted at first because of course I had invested so much energy. I came into this relationship as a half, didn't know who I was. Mind you, I'm young, he's older than me. My identity is in this guy. Yeah. And I basically found out because this guy was he gonna have this girl call me and tell me that they together instead of him telling me myself. Embarrassing.
But that was nice of him, wasn't it?
No. What? I'm in a relationship with you, not her.
I'm saying, but a lot of people don't even tell anybody. Like, they don't send anybody to tell. They just don't tell. They'll literally be with you until, kingdom come. Oh, wow. So what did you say?
I mean, I guess it was good to know. Yeah, you're right, because it would have sucked to be in a relationship for years, and later down the line you found out, oh, he got somebody else pregnant or something like that, or he been in this whole other relationship while he with you. So, yes, it was good to know. It was good to know, though, so that we could part ways. But it did hurt because I did want him to tell me instead of her, and then it was still just like, I was about to leave my family for you.
Yes, yes.
Go and be with somebody else.
No, I definitely feel you. I remember, when that first breakup, when I experienced that, I think, we had broke up before, but this was, the real deal. I think I had hit rock bottom. I was still living at home then, so I had checked into a hotel, and I can't remember what I did. I think, I remember, I was at his house, and I had looked at his phone, and I saw that once again he was cheating, and he was in the shower. I think I was going to take him to work, and I literally just left. I just got up and left. And that was it. I went back home. I couldn't do it anymore. And I knew I was a smart girl, but I was just I don't know what it is about this trifling, low life, bummy, ashy, dirty, basic man. But, things happen. So,
in the basement.
Oh, my goodness. So do you think that these men know, okay, this girl is so in love with me and she'll do anything for me, and so I'm just going to use her. I'm just going to, run her down. Do you think they actually know that? Or what do you think the thought process is from a man's point of view? Obviously, you're not a man, but what do you think that conversation is in their mind? Oh, she dumb, or she young, or what do you think?
Just like we know right from wrong, and females that have played men before and acted like they've liked them just for their money or for whatever they needed them for is the same way. Men know exactly what they're doing. And I don't know, if you've ever had friendships with men, but I was one of those, girls that First Lady talks about or Pastor talks about. If she hang around too many guys talking about she can't, I was one of those growing up, acting like I couldn't be around no females. So just hearing a lot of males' perspectives on men know exactly what they're doing, but they just play along, and they do what only you will allow. Of course they know. And sometimes, okay, they genuinely do care, but because they're young, or because they're immature, or because they never had a man sit down and rebuke them and guide them, they think that these things are okay. So they're aware, but they just think that they're going to get away with it.
Yes. No, I definitely agree. And so did the guy? I know you said he called you, or the lady called you, or whatever. But did he ever try to come back after the fact or no?
I mean, the funny thing is, yes, he did, and I feel like most men do. The stories always go they cheat on you, but they're always trying to come back. So yeah, actually, they ended up having their own relationship problems in their own relationship, and he will always call to check up and say how I was a good girlfriend and how he wished it would have worked out. And I just used to be like, yeah, go work that out. Exactly, go work that out.
Oh my goodness, look, you're right. I feel like I don't know if this happens to all women, but I feel like the people that I know are definitely good women, and I feel like the men do try to come back. And I feel like with this person, because I was dealing with somebody who was borderline illiterate, it's and we all live in a small community, because I didn't want to take him back, he was in a position where he felt like, well, I'm going to run every man off that try to talk to her, and I'm going to spread lies and tell rumors and all of that. And I'm like, these dudes are really interesting, but you know what? I guess we all learn something from our. Yes, definitely a cornball, and I be seeing him to this day sometimes, and I'm like, boy, bye. But I think that kind of wraps up what questions I had for my first love. And I'm sure the listeners that are listening, some of them maybe haven't experienced their first love, and some of them may have. But before we go, do you have any last words to say to anyone or to me about this topic, something that you learned, something that you know, some advice you want to give?
So I actually learned a lot. I guess I learned that we all have, like, our own different experiences and our own outlooks on, like, growing up and how we saw love. And it's a great thing that we could look back and actually laugh. And my advice would just be to, you know, before you jump into anything, just don't make love like being with someone your identity. Go into a relationship as a whole person. Make sure you have mentors and leaders in your life that are showing you, like, great examples of how to be in a relationship with somebody else, and that's pretty much it.
Yes, honey. No, I love that. Okay. And, okay, so if people want to get in contact with you, if they want to follow you on social media, what is your Instagram handle, or how can they get in contact with you?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram at glorious7_. So glorious, I'm pretty sure all y'all know how to spell that, the number 7 and underscore. Yeah, and you can follow me on Facebook at Offended Walker.
Okay. All right, sis. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And to my listeners, thank you so much, and adios. Until next time.
Adios.